Hey everyone, this is Professor Lam, and welcome to Module 3 on Java Database. So there's a bit of instructions this week before you can really start coding on the homework. First, you'll need to find this document in Canvas, getting set up for Java Database, download and install XAMPP. XAMPP is a tool mainly for non-production environments that combines a web server with a MySQL database, so you can browse and view a MySQL database through your web browser. Really kind of cool. When you install it, after you install it on Windows, you want to try to run it as administrator. Otherwise, it will complain a lot. And if you see red X's by Apache and MySQL, click on those. So let me show you what this looks like. Here, I'll close this. Actually, yeah. So to run as administrator, you can just right click and then click on that. I don't want to do it because it messes up my video. And so try to install both Apache and MySQL modules. And then to get them, you have to run them together in order to view your databases. You just click these two start buttons right here. They're already running for me. And to view your MySQL database, you can click on this admin button or type localhost / php myadmin into your browser address bar. And it will take you to a page like this. This is the dashboard that shows all of your databases in MySQL, and we're going to be creating a new one called ITP 220. So I already have it created. You'll need to go to this SQL tab and run a few commands that are provided in this document. So a lot of good instructions. Make sure you go through this document slowly and correctly. You can run all these at once. So you'll just copy and paste this and then click the go button down here. And then you can double check that your database was created by seeing it over here, clicking on it. And this is how you view your tables and rows. So right now, actually this whole module, we're just going to have one table called football teams. And you won't see this data at first. You have to run. I'll show you which program to run before this data will be loaded. But yeah, one table called football teams, all lowercase. So let's look at the homework now. So there's two packages, and the first part of your homework doesn't involve database at all, so I'll close this. This is a program to calculate how many coins you need for any given input. So if this calculate change method receives the amount of $3.48, you need to return an array of the correct number of coins to make 48 cents, such that the fewest number of coins are used. And the array will look like this. It will be a fixed size integer array of size 4. And so the number at the 0 index will be number of quarters, followed by number of dimes, number of nickels, number of pennies. And if that's a little confusing, open up the tests and you'll see these tests should be really straightforward. So here's the test. How much change should be returned if the input is $1 exactly. Well, your method needs to return four zeros. So it'll be looking for that. If the input is 1 cent, then your array should just have 1 penny in the fourth index there at index 3. So hopefully that will be fun. And I just want to keep everybody fresh with JUnit and get you more coding hands-on experience, which really helps me as I was, learning Java. Let me know if you have any issues with that. And then let's jump to the database project. So we have a lot of files, but the main one here is football DB. This is a menu-driven program, and the menu has already been coded for you. It's these switch statements. So you can run this program right away, and you'll see a beautiful NFL 2022 season standings menu. And the menu works, so you're going to be focusing on the methods behind the scenes that actually implement these. And actually, it's just, these are the 4 menu options that need method implementations on the backside. So to help kind of ease your journey into Java database, for this program, I actually give you the database connection and show you how to load the data. So let's take a look at that. So open the instructions if they've gotten closed and read through them. This will explain what you're doing. So the first option in the menu creates a database connection. That's this code right here. So it's calling a static method from a class called dbConnection. And let's take a look at that. So this is how you connect to a database server using JDBC. JDBC is an API. Let me show you this little diagram. So yeah, this is the library. This is the standard library that we call Java Database Connectivity. And really, there's only 4 classes you need to be familiar with that you'll be learning about: driver, connection, prepared statement, and result set. We're not going to be using callable statements, which is how you can work with stored procedures. So if you're interested in that, let me know. I can get you some reference material on that. And so I like how this distinguishes between the standard library interfaces versus the driver implementations that we need in a MySQL driver. Since we're using MySQL, all of our actual concrete classes are implemented for MySQL, but the standard library itself is abstract and could work with any database. So theoretically, you can, write the same code and switch it out with a different database driver. But so the way this works is it's kind of in order. You use the driver to get a database connection object, and the connection object maintains the session with the database server, and you can use the connection object to produce a prepared statement object. And once you have a prepared statement object, you can use it to execute a query. You can give it a string. It expects a string that's a SQL query, written in SQL. I'll show you what that looks like. and you can call a execute query method on prepared statement, and it will return a result set. The result set is kind of like it's kind of like the table or the tuples of results, and it gives you a convenient method called next, in which you can iterate over all of the records that resulted from your query. I'll post this reading. This is a really great reading, but I'll post this up on Canvas. I think you'll find it helpful. I think it's a little easier than the DIDLE textbook on this, but the DIDLE textbook has some good content and eventually gets around to prepared statements too. So the code to connect to the database has been written, and all you need to do, read over this. This should look very similar to the DIDLE book, but we're just calling the get connection method from there to get the connection. And then to load our data into the database, we're using a data loader class. You won't need to change anything in data loader or DB connection. You can, if you just want to test your connection to make sure you've set up everything correctly, you can actually run this DB connection class. Let me show you what it should look like. It will just give you a confirmation that you can connect. If it doesn't connect, it will probably throw an exception. And connection objects do need to be closed. So yeah, that's another thing to remember. These are active resources that can be opened and closed. So the database comes from this file, data loader, and this will get executed by the menu. Here's all the data. So when you run the menu and click 1 and 2, then it will load the data into your MySQL database. So let's just connect, and you can do this right away. It probably is fine. Load the data. Great, so it's all confirmed. You can, if you want to see the data here, you can go over and look in your PHP MyAdmin dashboard to view that data. It's probably actually the best way to make sure it's up to date, and it's only showing the first 25, but there's actually more teams than that. There we go. That's the full amount. You can also, let's see, you can test some of these other choices out, but right now the methods haven't been implemented. So let's take a look at how you'll complete those. So this is the menu. So I just selected 3 and 4, and we saw it returned null. So it's calling a method from the standings object, which is another class. And this is where you're going to be writing most of your code for this module. There's just some generic public methods in this class that you'll need to complete wherever there's a to-do comment. And so the total games played, you should be able to calculate that based on this team object. There's a UML diagram in the instructions for this week, and you take a look at the class. It's very simple. This is what we would call a POJO, a plain old Java object. Just basic, not even setters. It's just a few fields and no main method and some getters. But that has all the information you need to calculate these first 3 methods here in standings. Um, Yep. So you'll do most of your work there, and then finally, there's also a query runner method. This is the other place that you'll need to do. Um, here you'll need to write two separate queries using prepared statements to find all football teams that have the letter K in their name, and then find all the football teams with exactly 9 wins and 8 losses. And I wanted to give you a little demonstration here. So if stick around if you have a few minutes, I'm going to do a little code along just to help get you familiar with JDBC since it's all new territory. Okay, so again, this will look very similar to the examples in Didal. And actually, I pretty much copy and pasted one of Didal's programs from chapter 24, this metadata program, and adapted it. So this is straight from the textbook, but just used on our database instead. So yeah, you can use this as another reference too, but I'll give you a brief rundown here as well. So the first thing to do is to get a connection object. And we already saw we're going to be calling the static method from DB connection class. So, and the other thing Didal did I really like is he did a try with resources, and this will automatically handle closing the database session once the code completes. So we just put a parentheses block here after the try keyword, and you can write like a normal line of code here. So we'll create a connection object by calling get connection. Okay, and if it will probably ask you to import these when you're writing your code, make sure you import them from Java SQL, the Java SQL package, and not the other options, because again, this is good coding practice to keep it high level rather than coding to like the driver's specific MySQL implementation. We want to use the standard library classes. That'll make more sense once you see the different import options. And in general, always use a prepared statement rather than just a statement for a variety of reasons the textbook goes into. So I want to show you how to run this query on the database. This is a select all statement. So it should get all the rows from the football teams table. So I'm just going to call it select all. And the method we want is prepare statement. That top one there. And let's put in the select query. Oh, yeah, so we need to catch a SQL exception. That's what that was protesting about. Let's just print out the stack trace. And once we have the prepared statement, then we can execute it. The execute query method returns a result set, which I'm feeling lazy, so I'm just gonna call it RS. Execute query. And we already gave, yeah, you don't want to put in the string here. You want to put the string in the prepared statement that you created. So what is a result set? Well, it's kind of, like I said, like a table, or you could think of it like an array. It has columns. Actually, they're called column indexes, so it is very similar to an array. And sorry, to get the results, we're just going to print them out to the console in this program. We have to loop over the result set, and um, for each result, get the specific column by either its index or by the column name. So you can kind of choose. Let me show you what that looks like. Next. So let's get the ID, team ID. Here's what I'm talking about. So you'll do get int, and we know the team ID is in the first column. What's weird about result sets is, unlike arrays, they start at index 1. So you just have to remember that the first column in a result set is actually at index 1. How do I know this? How do I know what column this returns? Well, you can look at the database here. You could check it out here. This lists each column in order, but I kind of like this view better. So that we know there's 4 columns, and in a result set, this is column 1, column 2, column 3, column 4. It's not 0 based, is what I'm trying to say. Or you could do, let me show you the other way. Or you could do, instead of get int, get string. And this, let's see, I think you want this one. And you can use the column name. So it would be like get team ID, like that. Oh, right. Actually, yeah. So let me hold that one off. Let's do that for the next column. So let's do get int, because this is actually the data type. This method returns the get int is supposed to be used for columns of data type int. That's why that wasn't working. And let's just get the next column, which is going to be a string, team name, get string. So what I was trying to say is you can either use the column index version or the string column name version of get string. These are actually overloaded versions of the same method, get string. So let's do the string version. What is it? So let's check the, oops, wrong. So the column name is team name. Great. And then let's just print these out. Actually, I think I want to format it. It's getting late on Friday. Sorry, everybody, I'm almost done. I'll put a new line in. This is just my format string. Let's see what this isn't happy about. Oh, yeah. All right. So, this is how you can view the results of a select all query. Let's see if this works. Yep. Great. So yeah, that is how you do that. And then let me just show you one more thing. So for this first query, you're going to want to use a parameter with a prepared statement. So like to do a query like this, to search for all teams that have a letter K, you'd use like a subclause in SQL. I'm sure many of you are familiar with this, but you would do like where team name like so how do you do that in a prepared statement? Let's create a new query. We'll call it Ben's query. So we want to find all rows from football teams where team name is like, and here I'm not going to use that one. I want to find all team names that start with my name, Ben. Well, you could do that here, but the better way to do it would be to use a SQL parameter, where you just use a wildcard there. And then the only thing you have to do differently is, here, let's change this. I'll show you how to refactor a variable too, which is just a convenient way. I just right clicked on it and I'm going to click rename. This will rename all instances of that variable. So the only thing you would need to do to fill in that question mark is add a line right here where you call I forget the name of it. I think it's set. Probably set string. Yeah. Yep, that's what we want. So, but we don't want Ben's query there. So the 0 here, I think that might need to be a 1. Let me check. Yeah, that needs to be a 1. And the 1 here refers to the first question mark. If there were more question marks, you would have multiple set strings to fill in those parameters, and the next set string would start with a 2. And then we can give it the search string that I want to find. So I want to find all teams that start with my name. And I think that's all we need to change. Let's see if that works. Perfect. Bengals. Yep. So that's how you work with prepared statements. And the book will talk a little bit about how they're used to avoid SQL injection attacks. But this is the recommended way of doing it, rather than, say, string concatenation, where you do a plus sign and then have a variable. That's what can lead to the SQL injection attack vulnerability. So again, you're going to be completing the code here in standings and in query runner. And that's it for this module. I hope you have a good time learning JDBC. Thanks, everyone.